In this video, we're going to talk about something called anchored actions. So let's open up a new document. Digital publishing without that text frame, iPad, portrait. So the first thing we're going to do is set up a text box down one side of the page. There it is, and we will fill it with some placeholder text. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add some images down this side of the page which are relevant to a specific part of this text. So let's choose some. Let's choose this one, and this one. Put them on our document. There's the first, there's the second, and there's the third. So the first thing we're going to want to do here is call them some sensible names in our layers palette. So you can see here's our three images. We'll call this one image 1. Second one, image 2. And our third one, image 3. So that's great. Let's save our page and do a build. Let's call this anchored actions and build it to our simulator directory. Over in Previewer, here it is, anchored actions. There's our page. Now, each of these images is only relevant to a specific section of the text, let's say. So this image here, let's say this part of the text here is talking about it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put the cursor in that part of the text and we're going to insert an anchored object. Now, if you use InDesign a lot, you might be familiar with these. All we do is we go to Object, Anchored Object, Insert. We don't need to worry about any of these settings. The point here, all that Featurefolio needs is a position in the text, and that's what the anchored object is giving us. When we come to do the build, that object will be forgotten about. All we're using it for is to inform a position in the text. So now with that anchored object selected, we'll go to the Object panel. You can see we've got here the object settings for an anchored object. And we can attach an action to that. We can say, when the user reaches this point in the text, perform the action, which is show a single object, and that object is image 1. So that's great. We now want to do the same thing for image 2. Let's say this part of the text here is relevant to image 2, so we'll put the cursor there. We'll insert a new anchored object. Leave those as default, and we're going to say show a single object, image 2. And again, somewhere down the bottom here, this is relevant to image 3, so we'll put the cursor there. Object, anchored object, insert. And for this one, we will show a single object, image 3. So that's great, we've done that. We now want to set our page up to look like how we want it to look when the user initially lands on it. So we're going to hide those images. And the other thing we want to do is make this text a little bit more readable so the user can scroll within it. Let's bump up the size to 24. The user can read that. You can see what's happened now is the anchored object has moved with the text. So it's still attached to the word that we attached it to. Everything else has flowed out of the text box, but the anchored objects have stuck within. So now we'll save this. We want to make sure that text is scrollable for the user. So we'll tick the box. And let's build to the simulator and see what that gives us. So you can see here, this is our page in its initial state with all the images hidden. But this time, as the user scrolls through the text, that first image appears because it's tied to this part of the text. Scroll a bit further down. Second image appears. A little bit further, and the third image appears. And because we set that action to show single object, as we go down the page, showing each image hides the other images. So you can see it's really simple to set up. Again, just working off of layer names and anchored objects, which are an inbuilt InDesign feature, and you can control your page to be relevant to what the user is looking at that time.